So here's my latest prototype of a ultralight tarp made out of a plastic-based material. This happens to be the cross-link polyolefin, otherwise known as a window shrink film. You can see it's one single piece. I didn't have to do a seam down the middle like I had to with my low-density polyethylene that came in 4x6 sheets. I still added the 2120 3M tape on the ridge lines just to give a little extra support. On the edges, I just used the supplied double-sided tape that they had and then folded the edge over to kind of make like a hem. So it's a lot lighter than the low-density polyethylene, where I ended up using this all the way around the edge of the tarp. I've had this up for 60 hours now in some pretty breezy conditions and thunderstorms. We had a good one that came through last night. My wife was surprised that it lasted. You can see where the hole where the washer is has elongated somewhat, but you know, I can still pull on it really hard and it's not giving. So that's pretty much deformed as much as it's going to at this point. You know, you could, if you wanted to add this actually has two pieces of tape on it. You could add a third piece, you know, right here, you know, to provide even extra support. You can see that I did not use my secondary tie-out points there and on the other side and the two here in the back to try to put even more force and stress on the tie-outs. See, that one has held pretty well. Even this little tiny one back there has held very well. So it's only the front corners, which is no surprise since I purposely pitched this thing so the wind would come in and billow it out like a parachute kinda. So these front corners have had by far the most strain on them. This was the one that had originally ripped out when I only used a single layer of tape. Yeah, so it was repaired. But I'm very pleased with how it's held together. It's very simple to make, less than 3 hours. It actually came in a 7x10 size, and I cut a foot off of each side to make it a 6x9. And then with the hems, it's about an inch less than that. Only cost $4.50 because I got it on clearance over a year ago. And well, a roll of that 2120 is like $5 at Menards or Lowe's or whatever. And of course, you don't use very much, so you know, the total cost of the tape in this case is less than $1. You know, so you're talking $5. Well, with the trip tees or whatever you want to. This happens to be catfish drop line is what it's called at Walmart. The only one that they had that was braided instead of twisted. I think I'm not sure I trust this on the main tie-outs yet. I mean, it will break if I apply like probably, now I'm guessing like somewhere between 30 and 50 pounds. Whereas the trip tees, you know, it's not going to go. One thing that I noticed when I was taping my guy-outs was, or tie-outs, was that, you know, the 2120 doesn't stick anywhere near as well to the window film as it does the low-density polyethylene. And this material is known for, you know, being difficult to adhere to, you know, or bond stuff to. So I put a little extra tape, you know, on the perpendicular direction. You know, it's going by sheer force instead of peel anyway. You know, when you're just pulling like that and it's, you know, pulling along the direction that the tape is adhered versus, you know, pulling off at an angle like that, you know, that would be a lot more problematic, you know, for this application. You know, but I added 2 pieces of tape on this side, and on the corners I did 2 pieces on that side. On the just the secondary tie-outs, you know, along the edge, there's only 1 piece along the bottom, but and 2 on the top. But I did that just as an extra. One, of course, you want to separate the, you know, spread the force out over the tape a little, or over the material a bit more, you know, so you're not putting as much tension. You can see the wrinkles, you know, start forming there. You know, of course the corner out there is not very tight, but you know, so you don't want to localize the force, you know, right along the tape. You want to spread it out a little bit more. And the only other change I would like to make is to modify the top just a little bit. On my original design, I had you know, extended a piece of tape out so the pole would not be so close to the entrance to give me more room to get in and out. But in this case, I wanted to eliminate a stake, you know, so I put the pole directly on here. But you can tell that because of the angle, I used the actual metal washer here, that, you know, it starts to rip out on the back side. It's still, you know, I can really crank on this thing pretty good, and you know, it's not going to go anywhere. But I just feel a little better if that angle is still relatively the same there, so it's not forcing that washer up and out. Yeah, so I might add just a little bit there, you know, a couple, you know, an inch, maybe 2, to give it a little more room to play around and get an ideal angle.